Hi, I'm Danny Gasparini, and welcome to this segment of Penn Voice. I'm joined today by Kristine Zortman, who is the Executive Director of the Port of Redwood City. Kristine, welcome.
Thank you so much, Danny.
So excited to have you here.
Thanks.
I think this is the first time you've been on our show.
It is, yeah.
Well, you are a breath of fresh air to our Port of
Thank
Redwood
you.
City. We're very proud of our port, as you can imagine, with the whole community involved. But I think what we want to sort of bring to our viewers today is the economics of having a port within your city, because it is a revenue generating vehicle for the city and for this whole region. So tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. So not many people know that every day in their backyard on the bay, we are conducting multi-billion-dollar international trade.
Right.
So the past 2 years, we've had record-breaking years. This year, we generated $9.3 million in revenue, and that translated into about 2.65 million metric tons of cargo crossing our dock. All of the revenue that we earn on our own. We're not a taxing agency. So we're really focused on maximizing our value to the region, driving our economic engine, and then also one of the things that we're looking at is being able to diversify, to be able to weather economic downturns that may occur. We are a construction feeder port for Silicon Valley. All of the raw construction materials that are building your Stanfords, your Googles, your Facebook, your freeway expansions, they're all coming through this port. But if and when there's an economic downturn in the construction industry, we need to be able to weather that, to be able to continue contributing back to the community. And so one of the things that the board will be considering is a new vision that will diversify our cargo, diversify our real estate, to be able to get in different other types of cargo opportunities for us to continue to grow this economic
So give us a couple of examples of some of the cargo that's coming in and out of the port.
So right now, again, as a construction feeder port, we have all cementitious products, and that includes cement. It includes aggregates, rocks. The aggregates are coming from British Columbia. It includes another construction material called bauxite. It comes from Australia. We have gypsum that comes from Mexico. We also have an exporter, a metal exporter, so all of the cars and your refrigerators and your washing machines, all of that is being exported to India, to Vietnam, to even sometimes South America for high-value metals. So we're really dependent upon both the construction industry, but also recycling as well. And then again, in the future, diversifying to other types of project cargo.
And you mentioned in the beginning the amount of metric tons that comes in and out of our port. Would you repeat that again? Because I think it's a very large amount. And
Sure.
people, I want to make sure that we didn't just glance over it.
Sure. So this past fiscal year, we had 2.65 million metric tons of cargo across our docks. So that was all of the construction materials, and that was all of the export. And one ship that comes in, let's say with aggregates from British Columbia, that takes about 2,500 truck trips off of our already congested roads. So continuing to maintain the Port of Redwood City as a strategic port continues to keep those trucks off of other roads.
Well, you've already talked about, just briefly, the economic engine that our port is and that all ports are, but you're also getting into the transportation business.
Absolutely.
So real estate, import and export of cargo, but then now transportation. So tell us about the ferry service.
Right. So a port is just a natural place for us to have alternative modes of transportation. And so one of the things that we've been working very collaboratively with WETA, the Water Emergency Transportation Agency, and also our partner, the City of Redwood City, is a future public ferry service at the port. The city has recently launched a feasibility and economic impact analysis, and right now we're actually taking polls from the community to engage who would like to be able to take a ferry in the future, whether it's for work or whether it's for recreational. And so if people do want to take that poll, it is on the port's website. But what we really want to be able to do is look at, by 2022, having some type of public ferry service that's served, hopefully, by the Water Emergency Transportation Agency, to be able to move people across the bay and reduce, again, vehicular miles on our roadways.
Now, we've seen some examples in the past of these sort of ferry trips to ball games, and are they continuing to try examples like that, or are we still now just in the planning phase to have a long-term ferry service?
I think we're always open to continuing to try examples. I think what we've learned historically with some of the previous ferry operations is that they were private chartered. And so there is an opportunity when we start to advance the future ferry terminal for WIDA to look at a public-private partnership, to be able to have a private operator come in, offer a public service, but be able to do it at a ridership that may not necessarily be at the barometrics that WIDA needs to start filling that in and phase in the WIDA ferries.
Well, I would imagine it's a very different business acumen to have a public-private ferry service, which is accommodating the public, people in and out, versus you then at the same time are unloading a gypsum ship. So I can imagine there's a lot of logistics to be thinking about as you're going in and out of the port area, and the SLU area in Redwood City.
Yes.
So now we want to go from economic engine, we have cargo, we have real estate transactions, we have transportation, also to now access to the public. So it's one of the things that's been on your forefront is to ensure that people are coming down to the port, either through public art or through boating and fishing. You want people to come down and visit. So tell us some about those initiatives.
So I think that education really helps drive the economic engine that we are. And if people don't know or don't understand what's available for them at the port, then they're not necessarily going to understand how it can enliven them. So we've recently launched public art. We commissioned an artist through the city's public art program, and we're hoping to have the unveiling of all of the public art along our promenades and some other areas in October. And that will also go on the city's public art app to be able to bring people down to the waterfront. We've also initiated other beautification efforts. And one of the things that I'd like to work on this year is more educational tours for students, either through the YMCA or other associations, to be able to allow them to see that we have big ships down there.
Right.
We also live in harmony with the environment and the commercial wreck. So all of these uses can commingle together, but there's opportunities that kids can learn about and even grow into. Not everyone needs to have a college education. You know, working in industry, these industry jobs are high-paying jobs, and not everyone has a college education.
Right.
So again, educating people about us and our uses.
And I think it's important for people to understand all of the different uses that the port has, all of its different contributions, whether it's revenue or through public art to our community. Because the other thing we don't think about is the port is actually an emergency services way in which we can get out or bring people in the case of a catastrophic emergency. And you're planning for that now.
So yes, in fact, several years ago, we spent about $17 million, and we raised one of our wharves to accommodate sea level rise anywhere from 3 to 5 feet. We also reinforced it structurally so that it could withstand a 7.9 magnitude earthquake. And what that really did is it got the attention of FEMA. FEMA noticed us, and they designated our port as a federal staging area. And that's really important for all of the residents in this region, because if and when there's a natural disaster or other catastrophic event, FEMA can come without any monies from FEMA. They can come and they can take over our port, but they're also activating a whole response with local Redwood City Police, San Mateo, the sheriffs, Caltrans, and other agencies to really be able to respond to the needs of the community in any of these types of events.
Bring in supplies, bring in additional resources. It's just an added way in which we can get into our community if our roads are down.
If our roads and our bridges are down, absolutely.
So then lastly, I want you to just speak to, every year you have this great invitation, always happens the first Saturday of every month, your Port Fest. So we're nearing that, and you know, as soon as that's over, we'll be thinking about next year's Port Fest in the first Saturday of October. But tell us about that event and why you do it.
So yeah, PortFest was started 10 years ago. So 2019 is our 10 year for PortFest. And again, it was a way to be able to invite the community down to the port so that people knew what was available to them in their backyard. It is the first Saturday of every October, which sometimes is in advance of San Francisco's Fleet Week. But it's just an opportunity, a free opportunity for people in the community to be able to come down and enjoy boat rides on the bay, enjoy live music, enjoy some speakers, also carnival games and kids games and prizes. Yes, and retail and food. And so it's a really, really great event that we host on an annual basis the first Saturday of October.
Well, it really sounds like when we say the port is open for business, it really is open for business in the sense that you want to invite the public to come down and see what you're doing, learn about all of the different kinds of import and export, the revenue generating, the economics that's happening down there. So we thank you so much.
Thank you.
We're out of time. So I hope that you'll come back and talk to us a little bit more about what your updates are with the Port of Redwood City. But we thank you, Kristine, so very much for giving us a little inside view of what port business is.
Thank you for having me.
And we'll see all of you next time on Penn Voice.